where the swallows sleep. Set in the English countryside, winter of 1816, the year without a summer. In the frost-hardened village of Bramblewick, nestled between icy moors and mossy ruins, the absence of birds was an annual puzzle that stirred many a fireside debate. Most years, the townsfolk chalked it up to the ways of the Lord. But this winter, a particularly harsh and sunless one, gave birth to stranger talk. At the heart of the storm of ideas was Reverend Silas Blight, a wiry man with spectacles fogged from the steam of his peppermint tea, and old Mags, the village herbalist who wore crow feathers in her hair and claimed to speak with sky spirits. Rounding out the trio was Jasper Periwinkle, the apothecary's boy, barely 12 but already famous for having read 2 books cover to cover, one of them upside down. Each Friday evening, these 3 gathered in the back room of the Bleeding Badger Tavern to discuss matters both divine and ridiculous. The absence of birds had become their latest obsession. "They sleep beneath the lakes," Reverend Blight declared, tapping his walking stick for emphasis. "God sends them down to the bottom like he did Jonah in the whale. There, in mud and silence, they slumber." "Nonsense," barked old Mags, tossing a dried leaf into the fire. "I saw a magpie transform into a weasel just before the frost hit. It scampered into the woods, fur growing where feathers had been. The birds become something else. It's ancient magic." "But," began Jasper. "Don't interrupt your elders," the Reverend scolded. Jasper waited a beat, then boldly continued, "But what about the moon?" The tavern quieted. Even the wind paused, uncertain. "I read it in the pamphlet Mr. Tully brought from London," Jasper said, voice rising. "Some think birds fly upward, ever upward, until they reach the moon, and nest there for the winter. It's why the moon's always pale and silent. It's full of sleeping birds." Old Mags clapped her hands in glee. "That's no stranger than the Reverend Swamp Theory." "Moon nests, utter foolishness," Blight growled. "Where's the air up there? The warmth, the worms?" But Jasper was undeterred. "If God can part seas and turn water into wine, couldn't he also give birds a path to the stars?" There was silence then, as the fire cracked in the hearth and snow whispered against the window panes. The years passed. Jasper grew up and became a traveling naturalist. In 1822, while working alongside a German ornithologist named Johann Goetke, he encountered the first solid evidence of bird migration. A stork in Germany had been shot down with an African spear lodged in its neck, a Pfeil storch. Proof, at last, that birds flew thousands of miles south for winter, not to the moon or lakes or woods, but across continents. He returned to Bramblewick that spring, carrying a feathered journal and stories of distant lands. Reverend Blight had passed on. Old Mags still lived, sprightly and mad as ever. Jasper shared his findings with the town, maps, sketches, and letters stamped with foreign seals. He found old Mags near the well, throwing breadcrumbs to a robin. "Well, what do you know?" she said with a gap-toothed smile. "They don't turn into weasels." "Or sleep on the moon," Jasper laughed. "No, but I liked that one," she winked. Moral: truth rarely reveals itself all at once. Between wonder and wisdom lies patience. And in patience, the world slowly unfolds its secrets.